Okay, who here hasn't been to space?
Why?
You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
What's up and what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we discuss all things movies, TV, streaming, hot topics, and more. And we're going to stay on the recast hot topic because there seems to be a lot of confusion around what this hashtag is really built on. If you remember, about a week or two ago, we put out a TikTok video. It was a clip from a larger discussion that we had involving the plot leaks for Wakanda Forever. In that video, I was talking about how the representation of T'Challa is going to be taken off the screen for little black boys because they're not going to have T'Challa to look up to on the screen anymore if Marvel Studios indeed, which we have seen, decides to kill T'Challa off. So when that video was going on, that video blew up. It's got a little over 32,000 views on it now. So there's been a few divisive comments in there. It's split. You've got some people saying yes, recast. You've got some people saying no, don't recast. But it's not the fact that people are saying don't recast. It's the fact that people are commenting inaccurately. It's the fact that people are commenting negative things, attacking you personally that has nothing to do. And I'm okay with that. I am built for that. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, I'm getting bullied, so I want to make a cry video. This is not that. This is simply giving the facts of what recast T'Challa really is. This is trying to educate the average viewer, people that are not in the spaces that we're in, people that have maybe not seen interviews Chadwick Boseman has done, people that have maybe not seen that his brother and his niece have said things, people that have maybe not seen Jack Kirby say that this is literal representation that he made the character for. So we wanted to educate people, and again, for the people that may be saying, oh, this is deep rooted in misogyny and you don't want to see a black woman and you don't want, it's none of that. So we're going to dive into the facts of what this is truly built on. And we invite you, if you feel the need to comment, we invite you to be civil with it. And we invite you to have a conversation. So maybe that you can understand, again, this side of the conversation. And maybe if you, at the end of this video, you might be saying to yourself, oh, I still feel the same way. That's okay. You can still feel that way. But let's have a civil conversation about it where we can agree to disagree. But again, as I've said before, if you come in negatively, if you come in ignorant, well, we can do that too. But we're going to jump right into this and we'll give you guys our thoughts on, or we'll give you guys the facts on what this movement is actually built upon. If you have not seen our video over on TikTok, you can go over to the TikTok, you can check out that video. It was just a clip from our wider discussion of the plot leak where I said in the video, I was talking about the little kids that aren't getting to see T'Challa, the black representation of T'Challa, the black male representation of T'Challa on screen that is now getting taken away from black little boys. We've seen videos of black little boys going up to posters in 2018 and pointing at the poster outside the theater saying, mommy, mommy, that one's me. You know, I'm pointing at Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. And Chadwick Boseman too, I mean, I've said it countless times, but I'm going to continue to say it because this is what this video is about. This video, this part here is about the facts of the movement. There are so many people outside of the movement that do not know what the hashtag means, what the hashtag stands for. You got people that are coming into spaces that they have no information or no facts on, saying things like, oh, well, you sound stupid or you sound silly. This is not what Chadwick would want. You think you know better than Chadwick, or you think you know better than Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler that have known him. You got people saying things like,
we're still just
why are you still talking about this?
Panther,
you're still gonna get Black Panther. Oh, this is deep rooted in misogyny. You don't want to see a woman
sexist.
Yeah, it's low key sexist. It's this and it's that, and it's just like, I think you're missing the point. And that's it was when, because the video now, our TikTok has a little over 32,000 views, and the comment section it's split. It's in between. You got, again, because it's a lot of normies, it's a lot of people that aren't, and that's why I'm not mad. But here's what I want to say to a lot of the people out there that aren't a part of the movement, that don't know what's really going on within the movement. I want to say we can have civilized conversations. We can have a civilized conversation, and that's what I would prefer to do. But make no mistake, if you get ignorant, I can do that too. We can both get ignorant in the conversations. I prefer not to. I prefer to be a space where we can candidly and openly discuss or disagree or agree to disagree on whatever topic it may be, whether that be Recast T'Challa or the next. But we're talking about Recast T'Challa in this moment. So if you come on to a a video or TikTok video or YouTube video or whatever type of video it may be, and you come in and you are inaccurately speaking, you are coming in and you are saying things like, this is not what Chadwick Boseman would want, or you don't know better than his fan, or you don't know better than Ryan Coogler and Kevin, you're still going to get BP, you're still going to get Suri, you're being a massage, or whatever it is. Make sure that you know the facts of what this hashtag is built on. Make sure you know exactly what you are talking about before you come ignorantly into spaces and not know the facts of what you're discussing. That's what makes you look silly. And again, I have no problem just explaining those things to you. I have no problem helping you understand the side of this conversation. And maybe you can help me understand that side of the conversation, where that side of the conversation is coming from. But we can be civil about it. But again, make no mistake, we can also get very ignorant about it if you want to. I just don't want anybody coming into the comment section and saying the things that they are saying. And with that being said, when you argue back, when you're saying, no, this is not what Chadwick wanted, here's the thing about that. It's not me you're arguing with. I'm simply a parrot. I'm simply imitating and parroting what Chadwick Boseman himself has said. When I see interviews of things that he has said, I'm simply repeating that. So it's not me that you're arguing with. It's not my point that you're arguing with. You are simply arguing Chadwick Boseman's point. When I say Chadwick Boseman doesn't like the conversation around there can only be one, that's not me saying that. That's him. Yeah. When I say he finds it frightening, negative, debilitating, and pins us against one another, those are literally his words, not mine. So, and when I also wanted to share this. This is something I definitely wanted to share with everyone. And some of you, a lot of people have probably seen a lot of this stuff already. If you follow E-Man or you follow or you're in a Recast T'Challa space, you've seen all of this. And this has been put up so many times. Recast T'Challa is not calling for an immediate recast. So when everyone comes into the comment section and they're saying, oh my gosh, the movie's already made, how do you think that they're gonna... Well, no shit. And I'm trying to be nice about it. But yes, no shit. We know the movie's made. That's not what we're arguing. We are not arguing shoehorn T'Challa into a film that is already made. Because I agree, the audience, even though it's been 2 years, the audience is grieving, and not only the audience, the cast is grieving. That was evident at SDCC when they came on stage. You could see the hurt in Letitia. You could see the hurt in Denai. You could see the hurt in everyone on the cast. So it's like, I get it, they're grieving. So we're not saying immediately put T'Challa in this film. What we're saying is you simply do, bro, I don't know how many more times I can say it this simple. You simply do not have to kill the franchise's main character. We were just talking about this in our last piece of our live with Spider-Man. Everybody was saying, oh, I'm not interested in the Spider-Verse. Oh, I'm not interested in Morbius. Oh, I don't want to see Kraven. They've already let me down with Morbius. People were let down with Venom 2. But it always comes back to one thing in that conversation. Who? Spider-Man. You've taken the franchise's main character out of his own IP, and it looks ugly. So even though the trailer looks beautiful, I'm not denying that. We've all said that. We said that when we watched it. The trailer's gorgeous. The trailer's beautiful. But I'm not going to look at that beauty and then somehow be able to see in that beauty some type of joy of the absence of T'Challa. I can't do that because it's still the franchise's main character. And I even had a comment where someone told me, well, it's not about the culture. T'Challa's not cultural. T'Challa's not. T'Challa wasn't made for black people. T'Challa, I discovered T'Challa when I was on BET when I was an adult. Well, that's your story, brother. That's not mine. And respectfully, I respect your story. I disagree with your view on T'Challa not being cultural. But before I come back to that cultural spot, I want to move on to what else is being said here on this, on what it actually means. Recast T'Challa is not preventing anyone else from taking up the mantle. As I've said in this video, as you've said in videos, as Trey has said in videos, as everyone has said in almost every recast video, it is not about a mantle. It has never been about a mantle. We don't care if Suri wears the costume. Hell, I don't care at this point if M'Baku wears the costume. I don't care if... that's the point I'm at with it. Like, I don't care.
Don't give a fuck if Bucky Barnes, White Wolf hopped in.
It's the White Wolf. You want to White Wolf it up and you want to put him in that and the silver arm and all. You want to have him be Black Panther? That's fine. That's fine. Because that's not what it's about. As long as T'Challa's there showing them how to be the Black Panther, T'Challa's there still governing and being the king of Wakanda, T'Challa's still there being a father to his son, T'Challa's still there maybe possibly getting married in the MCU to Storm. Those are things we want to see. And some of you may be tuning into this video, some of those things I named, like T'Challa being married to Storm, T'Challa having a son, T'Challa's important role in Secret Invasion and Secret Wars. I mean, I can go on and on with that stuff. Those are stories that you might gotta read. But what I'm saying is, it's so important. He's such an important character. There's so many things that have not been fleshed out with his story. We've seen one movie in a handful of cameos that tell us nothing about T'Challa in the MCU. All we saw was he was pissed because he thought someone murdered his dad.
I was going to say, I can tell you in 10 seconds what his story is.
What his story is in the MCU.
He chases Bucky because he thinks he killed his dad when really Zemo did it. He ends up becoming cool with Bucky. First movie, he wants to open Wakanda. Killmonger arrives. He knows about Killmonger, killed his uncle, whatever, boom. Ends up fighting Killmonger. Killmonger kills him. He comes back, or he doesn't really kill him. Boseman comes back. Boom.
I mean,
kills Killmonger. And starts to open Wakanda.
And that's the thing too. We have not seen the ramifications of him opening Wakanda. We have not seen how the people of Wakanda that do agree with it being open and the people that don't agree with it being open, because
it's open.
It is open.
It's open.
And their relationship in the comics, for those of you, because I have people saying, "Well, have you picked up a comic? Do you not realize that other people have been the Black Panther?" Again, I do realize that. But it's not about the mantle. That's just not what we're discussing. We are simply discussing do not kill the franchise's main character. Not only that, too, you see Shuri, and I'm not knocking Shuri being super smart and one of the smartest beings in the MCU, but you downgraded T'Challa's intelligence to give that over to Shuri, but that's not what Wakanda is. I keep seeing people saying, like, well, why can't black women have this? Why can't black men and black women both have this? I don't know if you're confused about what Wakanda actually is, but Wakanda's supposed to be what a nation, what our community could have been had we not been colonized. What our nation could have been were we able to actually learn, read, write, all that type of stuff. Be creators, be inventors, be whatever. That's what, and not just male or not just female, but together, hand in hand. That's what makes the nation of Wakanda so great. That's why we say in our community, I wish Wakanda was real. We wish it was a real place that we could go to, because it is a utopia for people of our color. So it's not supposed to be, oh, let black women have this. We're not taking anything from black women. Hell, I'm rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. I'm rooting for this movie. I want it to do good. I want to see everybody, all the black people involved in this film do good. Why? Because I see if they do good, me as a black person coming up, I may not be in Hollywood, but I do good. I get a sense of, okay, somebody in the community is doing good, so that's just it just feels good when you see other black people coming up. It feels good, whether you know them personally or not. And that's something, maybe you're not in the black community, you don't understand that. But no one's saying take something away from Letitia Wright or any other black woman involved in this film. Moving on from that. It says, Recast T'Challa is asking Marvel Studios not to use the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman as a plot device in their fictional storytelling. And that is true. We saw, that's all that's saying, is not to use Chadwick Boseman's death as a plot device. Like, you do not have to kill T'Challa because the great and brilliant, and no one's saying that either, brilliant actor Chadwick Boseman passed away. I mourned. You mourned. We all mourned. But what we're saying is, we mourned. That happened. We're still mourning. So why now do we have to mourn again?
More.
Yes, more. Extra mourn. Why do we? Because some people, as you can see in Denai, you can see it in Letitia, you can see it in all those people's faces. There are people that are mourning still. His wife is mourning still. And when you play the trailer and she sees her husband, I mean, what do you think that looks like? And please, come on. negative recast T'Challa people, you have to understand that. You have to put yourself, be human enough to put yourself in someone else's position and see it from their point of view, not just from your narrow-minded fan position.
Empathize.
Yes, be able to empathize with someone.
And
do you not have that
If you don't
empathy?
understand how they're using it as a plot device, it's like that mural they have in the trailer. It's like they didn't have to put that in the trailer. If they even want to use the mural, okay, but it's like they could have surprised us with that opening night when we go to see the movie. A big surprise. Look at this honor of chat. Then that's like, okay, cool. It's like, but you put that in the trailer to actually get people to be like, oh, confirm he's dead, essentially. A mural, have a little funeral scene. It's just like you're trying it's like you're trying to sell tickets to make us wonder what you're gonna do next. That's how I feel about it. You're trying to
profit off of people's grief, and again,
I was about to say, which another way would be using his passing as a plot device,
right? And you don't have to. You just do not have to. Like, again, and I've used this example. And I've seen other YouTubers and other people that talk about Recast T'Challa in this space use this example too. But listen, I'm being honest. And Spider-Man is one of my favorite Marvel characters. Anything with Spider-Man, I'm all for. I'm not like, even though Spider-Man freshman year pissed me off with it, maybe canon, maybe not, if it's in a different universe, whatever, it's still Spider-Man. I'm gonna watch the shit out of that because it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I don't care what version, I love Spider-Man. Same with Black Panther. I don't care what, if it's cartoon, if it's live, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it because I want to see T'Challa. I want to see the Black Panther. I want to see that story. But what I'm saying with that is, God forbid, anything happened to Tom Holland.
That was one of the comments too, though.
If Tom Holland was to pass away, if something was to happen, you cannot, and people have been arguing this, you cannot, bruh. Come on.
We'd get a news.
Yeah, of course we would. You can't look me in my eye.
Especially after Kevin Feige came out the other day and said he is our most tokened character. He is. I don't think he might have been talking about Tom Holland a little bit, but he was talking about Spider-Man. Like, Tom Holland has done. I was gonna say, out of any characters like Chris Hemsworth, out of any character, Tom Holland has probably played his character the best. So it would be the hardest to absolutely see or move on from that. But at the end of the day, they would have to. They would do it. They wouldn't have to.
Absolutely.
They would do it because they would have to do
Absolutely. And that's my thing. Like, let's just assume here, because with the logic that we're using, that a character is so tied to the actor that when the actor passes, the character passes. With that logic, we're not going to have much of the MCU left. Nope. Because once all of these human beings, these real people, do pass, and if we're continuing with the logic that the character is tied to them, because just about every person in the MCU, just about every hero, I don't know, I'm not speaking for everyone, I'm speaking for me. Just about every hero who portrays their person, like Benedict Cumberbatch to me, is Doctor Strange. Yeah. I cannot see anybody else as Doctor Strange. But would I accept someone else as Doctor Strange if something happened to Benedict? Of course I would. Because I also understand that this is fiction, and that he is a real life person, and then something happens to him, that's beyond our control. But I'm using that just to say, I almost see every character, not just RDJ, not just Chris Evans, even Anthony Mackie. I even see him as the Falcon. I even see him as Falcon. I see these people as these characters. So what I'm saying is, if these roles are so tethered to the person, then we cannot have any more of them if anything happens to any of them. If Tom Holland was to pass, that means no more Spider-Man. That means the last Spider-Man we got was No Way Home. You get nothing else. You can get other people wearing the costume, but you get no more Peter Parker. No, and you can't tell me that you'd be okay with that. You can't tell me you'd be okay with bringing in, we'll just focus on Ben Reilly, or we'll focus on Peter's daughter, or Peter's son, or he only had a daughter. We'll focus on Peter's daughter, or whatever. You wouldn't be okay with that. You wouldn't be okay with never seeing Peter Parker in the MCU or again. Come on. So, like I said, that's all that it's saying. That's it.
And that's like Spider-Man's story's been flushed out. Not all the way, because there's obviously so many stories. But it's been told so much more than the T'Challa's I was going to say, there's so much about Spider-Man that we know in the MCU story's been told. Essentially his whole high school stories, his trilogy's told.
It is. No, it is told. And like I said, and I get it. For people that are going to continue to bog that whole thing. Well, Chadwick passed. I get that. Heath Ledger passed. I will never forget in 2008, bro, I was obsessed with that movie. I was obsessed with The Dark Knight Rises because out of all of my Joker, from any villain, any iteration, the Joker, slightly up there with Darth Vader, is my all-time favorite villain. I love the Joker. So when I saw Heath Ledger's portrayal of him, and much like everybody else, we all said, oh my God, no one else can ever do that. That is so, like, the way he portrayed the Joker, no one else is ever going to be able to do that. He is the Joker. I don't want to see anybody else as the Joker. So we saw Jared Leto, bombed. But we still got another Joker. Regardless of how you liked Jared Leto or not, we still got another one. Then you got the $1 billion Joker in Joaquin Phoenix that made $1 billion. Then we got another Joker in Barry, how do you say his last name? Keegan? You got that in the Batman. And not just in that little cameo, and not just in the little deleted scene. We're going to get him further on, down the line, in more Batman stuff. So,
you don't know why? Because he's the Joker. We're watching the story
exactly
of the
character.
Joker.
And some people have said,
we don't go to the movies and watch Heath Ledger.
No.
Or
now,
do
we
Chadwick
love those
Boseman,
performances?
Or,
yes.
Yeah,
of course we do. Of course we love them.
That's why that's why they get their names in the credits, and most of us for these movies, we watch the credits. That's how we honestly know. Me personally, that's how I know most of the characters' names or the side characters.
Right.
And it's because the movie makes me sit through the credits. So it's like we have to envision these human beings as these characters, but it's like, I feel like it's just because it's vision. If we were reading a book, when we read these comics, it's just, if we were to read a comic, it's just like, you don't see that person as a character or whatever. It's just, boom, the character is there. But since you have to cast an actual human being to go play this character, people actually hold these humans to this pedestal that, oh, that some people even act like these people act like that in real life or whatever. Like, I've seen people ask Robert Downey Jr. about Iron Man and shit, like he's really Iron Man or some shit. Like, I don't know, I just don't get some people's way of thinking.
Well, like I said, it's just like
because it's genuinely not everyone that I see people who even give me opinions where it's like, I can see that side, I can see that point of view of why they have not recasted him yet. At least I can see the point of view. It's like, I don't agree with it, but I can see it. And so it's just, I don't see how people can come in, watch something, and then just completely disagree with it when it makes sense. It's not like I wouldn't be arguing up here, like sitting up here for 2-3 hours talking about some shit that didn't make sense.
Right. And yeah, it's like I said,
I wouldn't support something that doesn't make sense.
At all. With the Heath Ledger, it's just like, yes, those are, because some people's argument has been, well, that's been 3 different versions of the Joker, and you can still get a different version, but no, don't try to flip it. That's not what we're saying. I don't care if it's a different version. It's the character still gets to go on. Now, personally, I've said this. Do I want to see a variant? No, because I think it's unnecessary. Will I accept a variant? I will. I think it's unnecessary, though, because you don't have to currently kill the 616 T'Challa. Even though it's happening, you don't have to do it. So, and again, that's what the last hashtag is saying there. Recast T'Challa is asking for the portrayal of T'Challa to be allowed to continue in the MCU. That's it.
That's really
literally it. That is it. It's not bigger than what you're trying to make it.
I was going to say, I want to really comment on that point just because I watched Black Panther the other day, and I watched it with the mindset of a little kid and who I can look up to. And it's like, as a little boy, most of the time as a little black kid, I'm going to say most of them, they're already in a single parent household with their mom, sometimes with their father single, but most of the time it's with their mom. So it's like watching something fictional, they don't want to have to look up to Suri or Okoye. It's cool to look up to these strong women, but it's like they want a male figure at the end of the day. So when I was watching Black Panther, I realized, are they going to look up to M'Baku? Most likely not, simply because he's, one, not the main character, not enough time with him or anything. So it's like when you're watching everything with T'Challa, you see his relationship with his sister, with Shuri and everything. You see that dynamic. Like whenever Killmonger's about to kill her and everything, and he breaks through, you see his real anger and power, but he breaks through everyone and goes and saves her. And you see the actual relationship. Or you see whenever at the end of the movie he goes to the real world and starts opening Wakanda, and he starts just these relationships with the little kids and everything. You see the way T'Challa actually handles certain situations and everything that makes you want to look up to him. as like this fictional character and everything. It's like, yes, Suri and yes, Okoye. Okoye is one of my favorite characters just because the way she leads the Dora Milaje. Like it's inspiring to me. The way she said to even Nakia, the way she said to Okoye when they had their argument, it's like, are you gonna defend your country? She's like, no, I'm gonna save my country. That whole little thing. It's like you can look up to these women. I'm not saying that at all. Like and that's what they're for. That's what they're for. I was gonna say that's what they're for. But at the end of the day, what T'Challa is for is he is meant for black boys to look up to, and you can see it in there. You can see the way he treats his sister. You can see the way he treats other people. The way he treats his mother. Right. The way he goes back and talks to his father after learning he didn't save the little boy, and he's like, you should have saved the, and he's like, no more of this. The way he becomes his own man and everything after these experiences. And I just think it's important for that storytelling to go on, because that's everything. If you go back and watch that movie as a little kid, you can't tell me everything T'Challa does in this one little movie isn't honestly just inspiring.
And like I said, I love that movie. I watched that movie. I watched it a couple of days ago too. I watch it often. It's one of my favorite movies. But
from how he was even as the king of Wakanda, even go and ask M'Baku from help as a opposing Jabari tribe, knowing that is his number one opposing enemies in his nation. The way they saved him, and he was able to thank them for saving him, and then as he's gonna know he needs their help in battle and everything. So it's just the way you see him operate as a king, as a human and everything, it's shit to look up to.
It is. And I've said this before in previous videos, and I'm going to continue to say it, I'm going to continue to say it, I'm going to continue to say it. The representation, it matters. The representation matters. It matters having the strong black male on screen. It matters having the strong black woman on screen, because we want to see that in our community. We want to see the two siblings, queen and king, elevating one another. That's what we want to see. We don't have to subtract one to add the other. That does not have to happen. But the representation matters. So for people out there saying, well, the little black kids are still gonna get Black Panther. They're still gonna have representation in M'Baku. They're still gonna have representation in Letitia. They're still gonna have representation in Denai, Okoye. Well, that's cool. That's great. And I would like for you to hear 2 points here. This is what Jack Kirby, the creator of Black Panther, and for those of you that don't know, I will give you a quick synopsis here. Black Panther was created in the 60s during the Civil Rights Movement, when Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were noticing that they had black kids reading their comic books but had no one in the comics that looked like them. Representation matters. So they created T'Challa, the Black Panther. And when they did that, he was the first leading black superhero. So for people that keep saying also, well, you still got Luke Cage, you still got Riri Williams, you still got Sam Wilson, you still got Dr. Voodoo and all these other people, all those black heroes are behind T'Challa. They are behind him, because he is the leading. Behind
T'Challa, and then the next one would even be Blue Marvel, I think.
Yeah, Blue Marvel. That's another one that's up there with him.
Oh, he's the one right next to T'Challa,
So it's like the representation of having the first leading black superhero on screen. That's what, and it's important. It's the historical importance of T'Challa. There are moments in the comics where T'Challa's kicking the shit out of the KKK, and that it's like those are moments that were in that time that was representation for us. That was think about that during the Civil Rights Movement. Little black kids and black girls and black men and black women were still getting hung. We're still by the KKK. We're still getting Norman, where we live. For those of you from Norman, if you didn't know, Norman used to be a sundown town where if you were black, you had to be in by a certain amount of time, or maybe the KKK was about to be running rampant around here, and that's in other states too. So when you see that, when a black child, think about a black child in the 60s reading that and then being afraid of the KKK, because you can't sit here and tell me, oh, that wasn't a thing. It was. Being afraid of the KKK during that time, and then going to your comic book, your fictional comic book. It's not real, but your fictional comic book, and seeing this strong black superhero that's a king of a nation, and he's black, and he's a king, and that was unheard of during the Civil Rights Movement. But getting that representation and seeing that, and then seeing him kicking the shit out of something that puts fear in you, and you're telling me that representation doesn't matter? Fuck you, because it does. It does. It does. It matters.
It matters in everything.
And all those stories have just progressed. It's progressed in T'Challa's greatness. It's progressed in Wakanda's greatness. It's progressed in black excellence. Seeing that shit on screen, it matters. But this is what Jack Kirby had to say.
The 60s and 70s expanded comics as well as minds.
I suddenly discovered that there were no blacks in comics, that nobody had made a story about blacks. I felt that blacks had to be represented in comics as well as everywhere else. So I drew the Black Panther. I drew him as a powerful and virtuous character.
And again, that's Jack Kirby. That's him talking in the 80s, or whenever that was, the 60s, about how important the character was, about representation, about all those things. So again, when you're saying that, and I'm just going to add this too to what Q was just saying about, yes, you're getting Letitia and Denai, you're getting to see how important that those characters are, but this is again Chadwick himself discussing how important just his character alone is.
But it does mean a lot. I know I've seen a lot of young kids, a lot of little Black Panthers, you know, some dressed up for Halloween.
Right.
I even saw some dressed up yesterday for another show that I was on, and it was crazy because it wasn't just black Panthers. It was white Black Panthers. And that was completely enlightening because, you know, they are looking at a black man saying, I want to be him. Yeah. And there's nothing weird about that.
No.
And it's not that it doesn't happen in sports. It happens in other arenas. But when you talk about superheroes, it's sort of a thing that's new, you know, because the other black superheroes that have existed, a lot of them are in support of the white character as opposed to being, this is the focal point. This is the person I'm watching go through the story. This is the person I want to be. And the thing about this movie is there are a few people that you want to be. You know, there will be some little girls who want to be Shuri, you know, who want to be my little sister in the movie because she's really, really cool. And she has enough strength and joy that you want to be as witty as her. Some will want to be Okoye. Down the line, they'll want to be the other characters too. But you know, I am the lead.
All right. So yeah, that's a responsibility.
I am the Panther.
You are.
You know, and you know, it feels great to know that people will want to be that image as well.
Now, and we're about to wrap this up with the conversation of recast, but I do want to show one more thing here, because again, that just further goes back to what I said about parroting what Chadwick has said. These are not Planet Fanatixs words.
Yeah.
For people coming on Planet Fanatixs talking about, oh, you guys sound silly. Then Chadwick sounds silly. That's what you're saying. The person that you're coming on saying, oh, he wouldn't want this, you guys sound silly, you just call Chadwick silly, because I'm simply the parrot. That's all I'm doing.
Voice, the microphone.
Exactly. I'm just talking in the mic. I'm just talking in the mic. We did not know Chadwick. We did not get to sit down and with his family, even though his family, his brother, his niece have come out and said what he would want. We have not talked to them. All we've done, is watched interviews and heard exactly what Chadwick said and mimicked it. That's it.
Which I want to comment on one of these comments because Pookie was, it's a shame Coogler and company didn't see this and hear what Chadwick was saying. And I feel like that's what they could have watched a bunch of interviews that maybe they probably would have been re-released when Chadwick died and everything just because they're honoring it. But they could have really sat down and watched a bunch of interviews of what Chadwick has said, because he's said a lot. We found a lot of how he hasn't directly, like we've said, came out and said recast me whenever I got this stuff.
Yes, he never. Yeah.
He's made the implications and stuff that this character is important. He knows specifically the character of T'Challa is important enough to like. It's more than him. He knows that it's bigger than one actor. He knows that it's bigger than, he hates, like we've said a million times, he hates when people try to limit it down to one person.
Right.
He said, Cornelius said, oh, they know. Coogler just has this.
Oh, I was just about to jump on that.
Yeah.
I was just about to jump on that.
And
They
Marvel
know.
has their own agenda. Yeah.
They know, because, you know, like I said, the decision was made in minutes. I've said this in other videos. Not years, not weeks, not hours, not in minutes, in seconds. They decided we're not going to recast Black Panther. Yeah. We're not going to recast T'Challa. I'm sorry, not Black Panther. We're not going to recast T'Challa. So, you know, no, they knew. Ryan Coogler, and do I respect what Ryan Coogler said at SDCC when he got on stage? Yeah, it was moving. What him saying about, you know, he could still feel Chadwick's hand on his shoulder. That was everything that everybody said. You could clearly see the cast was clearly moved, and it was they were hurt. You know, they missed their brother. Letitia, she misses Chadwick. You could say you heard that when she said, you know, just doing this right for Big Bro. You know, they had a relationship outside of the screen. So I get that, but at the same time, I agree with what Cornelius said, and I was just about to jump on that. They knew. They can't say they didn't know. Because if you're supposed to be, because everybody keeps telling us, well, you think you know better than Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige. Well, clearly they didn't know Chadwick as good as y'all are claiming either. Because if they knew him, they would have known that the brother did interviews, that the brother said what he wanted. So, I mean, who knows who? That's what I mean, and that's another thing. You sit here trying to tell me that this. I don't care how long this man has been in Hollywood. That's his career. The career does not know him better than his family, bruh. When his family comes out and says it, that's definitive in my opinion. Yeah. That's definitive. I don't care what Marvel says. Marvel knew him for however long the fuck he was T'Challa. That's how long Marvel knew him. So no, fuck that. No, stop that. But I wanted to play this too. Again, on the representation, because there are still people this long in the video that still don't understand representation. And this is not just on the black side. You got Namor, who they have now made, who's played by a Hispanic actor. That's representation for them too, and he touched on that. But Michaela Cole touched on that, and I want to play you what Michaela Cole had to say.
To talk about it, how does this moment feel?
I don't know. This is kind of like the first moment to kind of process the entire making of the movie. And seeing this audience is reminding me of the times I went to see Black Panther. I saw it 3 or 4 times in Ghana, I saw it in America, I saw it in England, and there's something very unique that the movie does to the audience. The energy is so unfamiliar to me, and I think it's got something to do with a black superhero padded out by a clan of black superheroes and what that kind of does for black people. So for me, it just feels really special. And seeing the drummers and the dancers just reminds me of what an honor it was to support this cast in the second, iteration of Black Panther, to be a supporting role to a very sensitive and beautiful and delicate process. Yeah.
And Riri kind of touched a little too.
And Dominique making your debut.
Riri, I call that girl Riri. Dominique Thorne.
Likewise, I mean, I think we all know that the impact, obviously, that BP1 had on the world is indelible. It's indescribable. It's physical, emotional, mental, and most of all, spiritual. So I think to be able to be a part of it returning to the screen and to be a part of showcasing this beautiful new young mind, and to also do all of that in the midst of highlighting, like you said, these beautiful, beautiful stories from this very necessary perspective. It's a blessing, it's a gift, and I'm reminded of that standing here in front of all of you, feeling just how important and how special and really how blessed this project is. So it is an honor.
We'll hear what Namor said about representation too.
So Noach, before you even took the stage, you could hear people shouting Namor, and now you can say it out loud. How does that feel, and what does this moment feel like for you?
I did, and I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor. And I want to say something really fast about inclusion.
Please.
I come from the hood. Seriously. And thanks to inclusion, I'm here. I wouldn't be here without inclusion. And a lot of kids out there in their hood looking at us, dreaming to be here. And they're gonna make it. They're gonna make it.
Now I'm gonna pause that there and I'm gonna stop that there. Now he went on from there and he said something in Hispanic to his community. He was about to cry and almost made me cry because I'm sensitive already.
Say, if I start watching, I might, because I'm getting I'm heebie-jeebies from that.
I know, because it's powerful, and I know coming from the white community. Coming from, and I don't want to say everybody, but coming from a background of privilege, of having privilege, you don't understand
You
what it
usually don't
means.
have that
Yes,
struggle,
you
sort
don't
of
get
fight,
what it means to want to be included, to want to see representation, because you see representation every time you turn on the screen. You see representation when you go to the grocery store, the packaging labels, everything like that. Now, has it changed obviously as we progress in 2022? Yes, but I'm just saying, you see your representation everywhere. Like he just said, I'm from the hood. There are kids that are from the hood that want to be in these places. And thanks to inclusion, thanks to seeing us up here, they can have those dreams. So yes, it matters. For those people that are saying it doesn't matter to these kids get over death. They'll talk to your kid about death. Talk to your kid. Let your kid know that this is a fake character and that real life people die. It's not about that. It's not what it's about. It's about inclusion. It's about representation, and it's about what matters. And what matters is putting T'Challa back on the screen. Taking him off the screen, it does nothing for our community. It does nothing for the people. It does nothing for representation. It does nothing for the fictional character. It's nothing to progress his story. So we've said everything. Again, I just wanted to give the facts on that. And the reason I wanted to give the facts on that was, like I said before, just simply because there's a lot of ignorance that surrounds it. There's a lot of ignorance that surrounds this conversation from people just jumping into conversation spaces where you do not have the facts. But hopefully you've stayed through this entire video and you've watched it, and hopefully you now understand, and maybe you understand, but you're like, I still feel like they shouldn't recast T'Challa. I'm not stoning you, bro. That's okay.
Yeah, if that's how you feel.
If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But we can agree to disagree, and then we can have that conversation about it. But if you, again, I'm gonna say this again, if you're coming in the comment space below with ignorance, and you're coming and you're attacking myself or any of my co-hosts, I'm telling you now, it's gonna get ignorant in the comment section, and that's not ignorant over recast T'Challa, because here's the thing about that. I don't want it to seem like we are like there's malice or negativity behind the hashtag. There is not. I want to be as completely authentic and be completely open and having
Honestly,
conversations.
educate.
Yes,
Yeah,
and educate. I want to educate more than anything. That's it. It's kind of like during the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm not comparing the hashtag to Black Lives Matter. What I'm saying is, during the movement, we were screaming Black Lives Matter, but then you had people screaming, but. There's no but to that. If you want to have the conversation, we can educate you. And it's the same thing with this. Exactly. Listen and education. We can educate you on this too. I don't want to make it sound like there's ignorance behind the hashtag. The ignorance comes in when you make it personal with me and my co-host. I'm speaking for Planet Fanatics. I'm not speaking for Recast T'Challa. I'm not speaking for E-Man. I'm not speaking for any of the others out there that are for the movement. So if you want to attack somebody, this is the face of Planet Fanatics that you attack. But you leave my co-host alone, and you leave the rest of this shit alone. You come for me if you have a problem with it. But it's going to continue to be Recast T'Challa over here.
I just want to say another thing before we do end is, like, obviously, like you said last episode, it's always for the kids too. Like, it's never really us. Like, we're not screaming representation matters for us. I can find something to inspire me as a 20-year-old or you as have. Right. But it's like the kids now. It's like going to the kid. They just. That's what it's really for. We talked about that before and everything, but some of the comments more were
I was gonna say, if you want to read some of those comments
let me scroll through, because I've honestly missed a couple got a couple recast T'Challas. That's where I left off.
Shout out whoever commented, but it's not a comment that hasn't been read. Just say their name and who they are and what they said.
I don't even know where to start at. I've kind of missed so many, and there's hella. There's hella. I'm gonna just start from the bottom. I don't know why. Let me start. Cornelius said, plus Storm is, no. Hope, Lewis Berry said, hope this has Zoe Kravitz as Storm. Hopefully not. Michael Fassbender is Dr. Doom and White Wolf. Cornelius said, Zoe Kravitz would not be the proper representation for Storm. Aurora is 5'10" and brown to dark skin, plus Storm is Kenyan African American.
I would have loved for Michaela Cole to, when that rumor was going around that she was Storm, I was praying that was true.
Cornelius said, a little news, Nichelle Nichols just passed. Oh, rest in peace. The old lady in Deadpool, the old black lady in Deadpool. It's her. Rest in peace, Bill Russell as well. I'll go ahead and spit that out.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bill Russell.
Cornelius said... Never heard someone curse so politely. Probably talking about you. Pookie Wood. We did learn that T'Challa makes a great Star-Lord.
Yeah, like, and you know what? I touched on that in our last video. We've all said that on this channel. We've all said how it's about that. I believe, and E-Man has said this too, that one of the reasons Chadwick took that role while battling cancer and that was the last thing he did for Marvel, was because he wanted people to see that T'Challa's, again, I said this last video, great with or without your mantle that you're so focused on. It's not, he was T'Challa Star-Lord, and he was still great. I loved that episode. I hated What If, but I loved that episode. So it's about seeing that character. So I completely agree.
Rashad Walker, but the problem, my brother, is our community can't seem to see black men and black women stand together and do good together without one outshining another, and it's usually brothers taking a back seat. Two non-black men created T'Challa only to have folks that look like us trying to get rid of the character.
And I agree with you. But see, that goes back. This is why I said I love these conversations. I love that comment, though. I love that. And the reason I love that is because it goes back to, for me, to what Chadwick said. That's why he said, we as actors, we talk about this. We talk about how debilitating it is. But the last thing he said is it pins us against each other. And that's like what you said. You have one trying to outshine the other because it pins us. You're fighting. They're fighting because they know there's that token. Like, think about this, too. Why didn't we hear shit about Armor Wars? Why have we heard shit about... I've heard that they're possibly going to even kill Don Cheadle's character off. That's another brother gone. So, yeah, I completely agree with you, but there's a reason behind why they're fighting for it. Also reason, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But when you've been conditioned to feel a certain type of way by Hollywood, and you're also trying to make a living for yourself as an actor, as an actress, or whatever. You're trying to get work. Yes, my brother, my sister, I love you, but I also have a family. Whatever situation. But should they feel like that? No. But that's what Chadwick was saying. It just pins them against each other. It's frightening, negative, and debilitating.
Sam said it's the eradication of the black male figure, and Pookie Wood commented on that and said, I don't know about the erasure targeting black men specifically in an agenda way. Cap America, for instance. I just think they let their feelings get the best of them in the decision not to recast. I would say I don't think it's the eradication of black. I mean, I don't know, because I do see like the differences in treatment. Yeah, I see differences in treatment, because I would, if Anthony Mackie were to do something like he would have a negative rep and something, I don't think they'd have a problem throwing John Walker, switching his story and everything, and throwing him his cap. And if something would have happened in the Falcon and like before the Falcon and Winter Soldier come out, if Anthony Mackie would have did, or even if he would have passed, I don't think they would have had a problem making the next cap John Walker and going that route. No. So it's like, I don't think it's like a race or a thing with race on that, but I can definitely see like they definitely got the best, let the feelings get the best of them on the recast thing, because that was a decision that was made almost instantaneously. Like they made it wild. I don't even know if like you said, he wasn't even in the ground yet. No, I mean, they hadn't had his funeral yet. No. So
anymore.
Zoe plus read that. Pookie was said, please make Storm dark-skinned. Hopefully they do. Rashal, she was in the original Star Trek from the 60s, talking about in the show. Past. Cornelius said that's 100 slave mentality. Yeah, no, that's... What is that new comment that I... Yeah. Rashal Walker said, they have done a disservice to Don Cheadle. Dude is a sensational actor, but hasn't got the chance to showcase it. He would totally show out as the main lead in Armor Wars. Hey... That's true. We relate to Don over here.
And I was just about to say that I don't relate to Don. I've been waiting to kind of drop that. Q and I are first off cousins, and we are related to Don Cheadle. It's a whole story. If you're from Oklahoma, it's a whole story. It's a long thing.
Shocking.
It's a long, shocking ancestry tree. And Don Cheadle is from Oklahoma, and we are related to Don. And I'm not talking far related. He is a close cousin of ours. So we definitely would love to see Fam on screen.
I haven't seen him in so long. When his last was Endgame.
Yeah.
And he was in Endgame quite a bit. Let me not.
He was in Endgame quite a bit, but we haven't seen him since.
I was going to say, but we haven't seen him since.
They didn't even say anything about Armor Wars.
That's the thing. I don't know why they wouldn't, because that was one of the ones that was supposed to be confirmed.
It was I think 2019 SDCC, wasn't it? I believe it was announced at that. I think it was out announced at 2019. Armor Wars is
such a good pivotal story to get into, critical for what you're doing in the multiverse era. I don't know why they wouldn't be excited to get into that, especially after having Ironheart, Black Panther and everything. Like, you're getting the pieces to do it.
Right. Yeah, no, we want to see it. Anybody else comment?
Totally agree with that. Don is great. Rashad Walker said, wow, and those are the end of it. If any 16 of you are still viewing, we are about to close it out. If you have any closing comments or anything, please drop those.
Yeah, and we appreciate everybody's comments. We appreciate everybody joining us. Last thing that I will say about it, or Q, do you have any final thoughts you want to say?
Personally, no. I can't. When does She-Hulk come out? Because
August 17th,
cannot,
I believe.
August 17th?
I believe so.
I'm ready for She-Hulk. I'm just ready to get into the next phase, honestly. Phase 4 has been patchy. I mean, I'm a Marvel fan, so I take what I can enjoy out of Marvel and everything. And obviously, since we have this channel and have to criticize stuff, we obviously do. It's like we can criticize whatever, but at the same time, I enjoy everything that Phase 4 has been doing, because I know that you've told me before that Secret Wars is coming and everything. So it's like I've been able to hold on to that. We know the bigger story coming and everything. So I just can't wait to get to reacting to stuff again. We're in a dry spell right now. Ain't nothing Marvel really coming out. Hotel Rwanda, Rush Hour 2, Traitor 2, House of Lies, Flag, Cheetah was great in all those films.
All of those.
Yep. Pookie Wood said, great show. Enjoy the. Thank you, Pookie Wood. We enjoy and appreciate that comments. We appreciate y'all and spending time conversating with us on Sundays. Sam said She-Hulk needs to be thicker. And Cornelius said the actress isn't thick, so no, I mean they did their best making her, because the actress isn't big at all, and they did pretty good making her 6'7".
Yeah. I like I said, I thought she looked good in the last trailer.
They smoothed out the CGI. I like the way. I can't wait for that.
But to close it out, like I said, I appreciate all you guys once again joining us. We're going to go live every Sunday now to start doing our breakdowns of what the weekly news is, and then whatever else we want to touch on within that live. We're going to do so. We appreciate you guys being here with us again. This is so much fun for us to do, and I so much enjoy talking with you guys, and Q does, and just being in this community with you guys. You make it fun. The last thing I'm going to say before I close, because this is going to be attached to our recast video. Again, the representation, I know that people have just been saying, just let it go with the kids, and it's not about the kids, but it is about the kids, because it's the kids that this stuff is made for. It's the kids that are the ones that are not going to see like you heard Chadwick say, he is the lead. They're not going to see T'Challa on the screen. They're not going to see, what matters to them, their character. So I would just I implore everyone to please take a moment before you comment. Take a moment before you react off of a 2-minute or 30-second clip that you might see on YouTube, or you might see on TikTok, or when you're watching recast videos, before you immediately comment before actually watching the video in its entirety, before clicking off of a few seconds of hearing something that you may not have liked. Understand what this hashtag is built on, because again, you just make yourself look silly. It's bigger than you. It's bigger, yeah, and it's bigger than me. Yeah, it's way bigger than us. It has nothing to do with anything that's been spit out. But again, this video was simply for education. I hope that we were able to educate some of you, and I hope if you are still fuzzy on things that we can have a civilized conversation down in the comments. But if not, I'll be there for the other part too. We appreciate everybody joining us again. Recast T'Challa. It's all about the babies. Look at this poor kid. We will see you guys in the next video.